Hi, I'm Shelby, and welcome to Shelby Duncan's Barely Surviving. So today, I'm gonna teach you how to make something that's pretty easy, pretty cheap, pretty okay. Broccoli beef. Something super simple. We're doing broccoli beef. I've got all my little mise-ens all placed, and I'm just gonna take you through all the stuff you need to do to make broccoli beef. First, you're gonna wanna get your garlic and your onion ready, because that's the building block of anything wonderful. You're just gonna take your garlic, and I like it very garlicky. So I do about 5 cloves, depending on how big they are. And if you don't like garlic that much, that's totally cool. You do not have to put that much in. It is not an exact science. And this is how you crush your garlic. Makes it much easier to peel. If you don't have a cleaver, you can always use a regular knife. I just like to cook with a cleaver because it is 1 part knife and 1 part bench scraper. And this doesn't even have to be that finely chopped because it's gonna get sauteed down with a bunch of other stuff. You can just get it relatively finely chopped. You don't want any huge cross sections, but just nice little rough chop to where you really start smelling it. You start sensing that Allison releasing in the garlic, just like that. And then I'm gonna show you how I cut an onion. I would recommend to everyone, if you're cutting an onion, put it in the damn freezer. Putting them in the freezer for like 10 minutes works because it stops all the little juices from being all gushy when you cut the top off, because then that's the fastest way to peel it, which ultimately minimizes your amount of time with the onion. Do whatever the hell you want, I don't care. So chop that in half. But you gotta make sure you get the garlic off your onion or everything's ruined. Your credit score goes down, they come and find you. Same thing with the onion, just a nice little rough chop. You always wanna be cutting on the flat side of something. If you can put a flat side on something before you start cutting it, that's the best way to not hurt yourself. I mean, the best way to not hurt yourself with a knife is to never use a knife at all. You're looking for like chunks probably about like that size. Oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't cry. Got my little broccolis all pre-steamed. I've got some green beans from the garden. I'm gonna just throw some peppers, take a few little bell peppers, chop those up into little strips as we're making broccoli beef. You know what's good with fiber? It's more fiber. You can never have enough fiber. These are trying times. Y'all are out there drinking White Claws and all these seltzers and shit, devastating your microbiome. And this I've found is the best way to cut a pepper. Is just you cut it around. And that's how you do that. One time, I cut like 30 sweet potatoes and my hands were stained orange for like 3 days. So anyway, cool, we've got everything ready to go. So we're gonna come over to cutting board station number 2. So, take your wok and you're gonna put some olive oil in it, like a decent little amount right there, see that? That's good, cool. And you let that heat up. And you want it to get real nice and hot, so when you put like all your little hard vegetables, you always wanna do your hard boys. You always wanna do your hard boys first, because they've got the most to lose. So they can take a beating for a really long time. They're the CrossFit athletes of the vegetable world. It's all about time under tension. Oh, and you're probably gonna wanna serve this over rice, huh? Pour about, this is a pretty grande sized serving that I'm gonna be making, so about 1 inch of rice into the bottom of this pan. Fill it up with water. I do not measure, I do not believe in measuring cups, but you probably should. So the way that I like to make sure I have enough water in my rice, nature's tools. 2 knuckles, I do it on my pinky. And you get your pot lid that doesn't really fit, and you turn that on high, and you put the lid on, and you do not consider it until it becomes a problem. And then you turn it off, and then you walk away from it for 20 minutes. And now our oil's hot. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So now I'm gonna take all our hard boys, pop them on in there, and just give them a little tossy toss. And throw the green beans in there too, because those are pretty hard. They're nice and, they're a stable vegetable. And now our broccoli is already frozen broccoli and it's pre-steamed, because I did do that. My ploy, this is my favorite condiment. It's the best, it's $3 and you get all of this. Like, it's #1. And it's one of the best ways I have found to make a really quick, easy stir fry without having to, it's not like Well, and then I took 15 Aleppo chilies and distilled them in angel's tears and then threw them off a mountain and caught them in a wicker basket and transported them elsewhere. It won the Superior Taste Award. These guys are just gonna go for a little bit. Now your vegetables are looking good. Like you got a little char on your peppers, like everything's looking nice and sensual. Here, take your beef. Don't skimp on the ground beef. You know how much energy it takes to make a cow? It's a lot. Buy the best beef you can get because it incentivizes farmers to do whatever the hell they need to do, and it doesn't support big, gross, bad beef practices. Wash your hands to prevent foodborne illness. So you're gonna stir your beef in there and just kind of start chopping it up with your little whacker. And while this is starting to brown up, you take your my ploy and just really glug her on in there. Just give it a nice little glug. I really prefer the my ploy curry paste because it's got shrimp carcass in it. It's got that like stank on it, which I really appreciate in a curry paste. We're just letting that stew up and the sugar is gonna start pulling out of that sauce and it's gonna start cooking down. So you're gonna start hitting like more of a saute zone where everything else before was kind of like like very visceral cooking sounds. Now you're gonna hit like a simmer situation. So like if you hear that, do you hear that? Do you hear that? But like when you're making like a broccoli beef stir fry type situation, you don't want a whole bunch of chunks. Nobody wants a chunk. Like you've already got all these vegetables. Those are chunky. The meat is like your sauce. Here's to a chunk-free 2019, everyone. No chunks. So we're gonna just like crank this up to 11 and kind of just let this cook down just a little bit. So what you're looking for in rice, so you take this and you burn your cutting board and that's what you want in rice. If your rice is a single sensual unit. We've got our rice steaming at an alarming rate. Going to just drain off a little bit of that, woo, mama. Just drain off a little bit of that excess liquid. What I like to call this shit is heartburn juice. We're gonna take our little broccolis, throw those guys in there. We're stirring her in. And you don't want your broccoli to really take on a whole lot of color because we're cooking for one here, so I'm gonna be reheating this throughout the week. So if we cook the broccoli a little bit too much, by like Thursday, it's gonna be looking real mushy, real sad. Got a Tinder date, real mushy, real sad. And this is a great time to finish where we started. Cleaver, get one. Festoon the area. Ooh, this is good rice. I did a good job. You can't buy that at a store. Rice is not that hard. Aggressively whack your meat hammer on the side of the wok to let everyone know that the food is ready. Slide that on in there, right there. I left a chunk. Oh, it's a good ass chunk though. So we did it, gang. That's it. That's how you make broccoli beef. Thanks for coming.